leaving me with $70,000 of debt, less than 8 months to pay off. I got so sick. I have always been a person who can push through, who can figure out just about anything, who can problem solve, and I really prided myself on this skill set. It's an asset until it isn't, because for me, it created blinders that I never listened to my body. I never stopped to ask myself, is this sustainable? I never even fathomed that I could burn out. I felt invincible, and I was until I wasn't. This story begins in January of 2020 when I suddenly and abruptly decided to drop out of medical school, leaving me with $70,000 of debt and a bank line of credit that I had less than 8 months to pay off before I would accrue astronomical, and I mean astronomical amounts of interest, which I was terrified of because I knew it would snowball in a way I would never get myself out of, and I could not do that to myself. I was so scared that I was willing to do just about anything. So I didn't have any time to process my decision to leave medical school, which is another story in and of itself. Instead, I jumped in immediately to applying for any and every job I possibly could. In the week that it took me to get the jobs through the interview process and application process, yes, I got 2 jobs in that span of 1 week. I not only was doing all of the applications, I also spent 40 hours filming an online course, which I randomly uploaded to an online course platform at the time, and it still makes me passive income to this day. But I also watched every single YouTube tutorial and free online course I could about web design and started building websites for people for side cash as like a side hustle. I also got an in-person retail job and I had a virtual remote job. So I was kind of working 3 to 4 jobs during that time period. I was going at lightning speed. My head was down. I worked nonstop around the clock. Good thing is I was a night owl. But like I said, I thought I was invincible. Not once did I ask myself, is this sustainable? Is this balanced? Is this okay? I had my blinders on and all I knew was that I had to pay off the debt before the 8 months were up. Now here's where the hardest part was for me. On the outside, I looked like I was doing the thing. I was successful. I was paying down the debt. And in fact, I did pay off all the debt in less than 8 months, which is amazing. And yes, I am proud of that accomplishment, but it cost me so much. I won't tell the story in this video, but in 2021, so just a few months after having completed paying off the debt, I got so sick. I was bedridden for a large period of time, and I highly correlate and contribute all of that to the fact that I had been stuck in hustle, survival mode, burnout. I was not taking care of myself. Now, I am very, very mindful and very intentional when I say I believe there are seasons of life for people where we have no choice. For me, this was one of them. I would not go back and change this, except I might have supported myself differently. I would have been more mindful. But the season of hustle, of having to work 3 jobs, I don't think that would have changed. That was my reality. It's what I needed to do, and I still believe that to this day. But what I also know is that I could have supported my nervous system. I could have taken better care of my mental and my physical health, knowing how much I was putting it through, and I just did not prioritize that. And I know, and I have this conversation with so many of my therapy clients of like, there's just no time, but we're choosing not to make the time. There is time. And one of the things I even bring up with some of my therapy clients is I'm like, show me your screen time. Not to judge you, not to call you out, but let's get real. If you're telling me you have no time, then you should not be on TikTok. If you're telling me you have no time, then you should not be scrolling for hours or watching YouTube or doing these things. And so it's really about getting honest with ourselves, because oftentimes we need to hear it, because if we don't take proactive care of ourselves, it's going to show up later. And this is the message that I try to get across to people, because while I was pushing and striving and just stuck in the survival mode loop, I was slowly killing myself. I truly had no capacity left. My life had changed faster than my nervous system could catch up with it. And that was costing me everything. So it's not about villainizing survival mode, because there are seasons in life where we have no choice. I think about when I was young, my mother became a caregiver for her mother. She had no choice. It was survival mode season for her, and it was a very, very long season. But I do get curious about how we could have better supported her, how she could have better supported herself while she was going through that. Just like when I had these 8 months, how could I have better supported myself? What does that look like? We might know we're in survival mode. We might not feel like there's any other choice, and there might not be. But it doesn't mean we can't do things to make it better. The second piece of that is not just being in the survival mode, but when we do have a break, when that season does come to an end, or there's a little bit of space that's created for whatever reason, we have to choose to downshift our nervous system. Otherwise, we just stay stuck in the rat race. We have to choose to slow down and find a way to make that feel safe in our body, because it won't, because it's not familiar. And unless we make that choice, we just keep going and going and going until our bodies force us to stop. Because our bodies are speaking, but we keep silencing, and they just keep getting louder and louder and louder until you're forced to stop. Because there's only so much as humans we can truly sustain. Success that was built in survival mode will always cost you something unless you build the capacity to support it. My goal in sharing this story was really to increase awareness, but if you're interested in going on a deep dive of some of the things that we can do for our nervous system and our health while we're in survival mode, or to help downshift out of it, please let me know in the comment section, and I can film another video on that as well. Thank you guys so much for listening, and take good care.